Hello everyone, this is Battletoads PKK hitting you with a small man PvP build. This could also be used solo. Solo Magplar is pretty rough, but it can be done. Now, getting to my stats. I got 32k max magicka, 26k HP, 10k max stamina. Now this max stamina is kind of low for some people. You can increase it with tri-stat glyphs on your armor. I just prefer 10k. My magicka recovery is sitting at 1900, and my spell damage at 3.3k spell damage. Unbuffed, my spell resistance is at 15k, and my physical resistance is at 10. Now, with my armor buffs active, I'm hitting 27k spell resistance on my back bar, on my sword and board bar, and then 23k physical resistance. This will really help you recover when you're getting dogpiled, and it really helps you recover from large burst while you're healing yourself. My critical resistance is at 3.3k. It's important to have high crit resistance. There's crit everywhere out there, and this will really help you survive burst. So let's get into my armor. I run 2 heavy and 5 light. Now I'm running Falcon Scoria, Rattle Cage, and Overwhelming Surge. I run 2 heavy Rattle Cage, and then the rest light. For my weapons, I am running a 2-hander, which buffs a lot of spell damage, and a sword and board back bar. Now, the reason I go 2-hander over staff is because of a passive. Not many people realize what this passive actually does, but it's very useful for magicka builds. Similar to dual wield, with a sword equipped, you do an additional 5% damage. Now this buffs spell damage and physical damage, so a magicka build can use 2-hander effectively. Also with a 2-hander, whenever someone dies around you, you get an increase of 30% stamina recovery. So that is very good for your stamina sustain, and I think that's why I can run such low stamina without running out as often. Along with some other build choices that I've made, and you'll see that once I go over my skills. Now for my glyphs, I run all max magicka on everything except for my chest piece. I like having a lot of max magicka to do more damage. That's a personal choice of mine. If you want to run more like 3 triglyphs on your helmet, chest, and legs, and it will give you around 12 to 13k max stamina, you can do that. I just prefer the extra magicka damage from my max magicka pool. For my glyphs on my jewelry, I'm running 1 recovery glyph and 2 spell damage. I find that at 3.3k spell damage, I'm able to blow up 90% of builds out there. If I run into something tanky, I'll just save him for last. I could go with lower recovery, but since I'm outnumbered most of the time, I prefer to have a high magicka recovery rate. So let's get into my skills. My front bar, I'm running Repentance for the passive magicka and stamina recovery, and it's a free heal. So whenever I'm in a fight and I kill someone, I pop this. It's free to cast, it's a free heal, and it gives you free stamina sustain. I can top off my bar by killing 1 person, and I'll have stamina for days. For my second skill, I use a gap closer. This is a high mobility patch. People are running around like crazy. Anytime you hit a stamina build and the fight's not going their way, the chances are they're going to sprint away from you with Major Expedition and an immovable pop running. So having a gap closer to catch those people is very important to me, because I don't want them to get away, heal up, and then come fight me when I'm preoccupied. Vampire's Bane is my dot. Puncturing Sweeps is our damage / heal over time. And then Total Dark. A lot of people don't like this skill. I like it. It's a very high risk, high reward skill, depending on how intelligently you use it. On a good player, they'll break it really fast and they'll get CC immunity out of it. But if you hit that good player during a combo, it will force them to stop hitting you in order to break it and waste some of their stamina, which is the exact same thing as a crowd control effect does. Crowd control effect will maybe stop a good player for like a second, and the same thing happens with Total Dark when they're trying to break it. Very good skill. Highly recommend trying it out if you've never used it. The thing is, you have to judge when you should use it, rather than a regular crowd control ability where you can use it at any time and you get the desired effect. Now, if you use the skill effectively, you can almost outright kill people with it. But if you don't use it correctly, you just end up giving your enemy free CC immunity. Hopefully in the future this skill will be buffed. Once you break it, it does at least a little damage, so you get something out of it. But if you use this skill smart, it can be very effective. My ultimate is Soul Assault. I really love the damage of this skill and how oppressive it can be when you're channeling this on someone with all of your dots going on them. I kind of use it as a pseudo execute because a lot of Stam players will dodge roll whenever they're almost dead, and this goes through dodge roll to kill them. For my back bar, I am a vampire, so I use Elusive Mist to get out of snares, to reposition myself in the towers when I'm outnumbered. Very great skill to have. It also reduces your damage taken by 75%, which is very useful as a Magplar. My Extended Ritual, this is Magplar basic skill. Everyone uses this, it's very good. Honor the Dead. I like Honor the Dead because it gives me more Magicka sustain. Purifying Light is our large burst skill, very good for killing players. And then Channeled Focus. Since this skill was buffed, it is amazing. I'm very glad for the Werewolf patch buffs to Magplar. Zos made a good decision on buffing this skill and giving Magplar a little bit of mobility. It's exactly what we needed. So our backbar ultimate kind of changes up depending on what I'm doing. I've been experimenting with Undo because it's very fun for juking a large amount of players who are chasing you. You can jump off a cliff, teleport back to the top. Same thing with towers. Very fun skill to use, so I'm giving this a try. My preferred backbar ultimate is Bat Swarm. This is a very good defensive skill to use when you're outnumbered. On your front bar, it does some decent damage, 4.2k ticks. When you're outnumbered, this could turn the fight and help you win. Another good ultimate to use is Spell Wall. This reflects any projectiles coming towards you. If you're fighting a lot of range builds, this is great. Repentance is also a good choice if you're in a group. And that's about it for skills. In a group setting, I want to note that I like to use a Destro Staff. It's a lot better because you have some bigger ultimates that you can use for AoE, like just Eye of the Storm. The skill hits pretty hard, and it's great for bursting down large groups. And then if you are using Staff, I would replace Repentance with Elemental Drain. But overall, for solo play, I prefer two-handed. You could use Staff. It's just as effective, just not from my playstyle. So, let's get into CP. So, let's start off with the defensive tree. 72 Ironclad. Very important to have direct damage resistance. Everything these days is direct damage, just about. Crit resistance, 73. Don't invest more than this because you start getting diminishing returns. But crit resistance is great to have, keep you from getting bursted down. As a vamp, I put a lot into Thick Skinned. because fire damage from decays, I cannot purge every engulfing flame or burning embers that they put on me, so I'm gonna take some fire damage from that you know, dot. So the 19% resistance really helps with the problem of being a vampire and fire damage and Dawnbreakers. So yeah, 51 into this. Hardy and Elemental Defender scale pretty poorly, but it is important for your builds for resistance, so I put 32 points into each of these. For my green tree, I have 33 in the Sprinter. I sprint around a lot, especially as a melee Magplar. Kind of hard to chase down stand builds with all this mobility, but this really helps with my stamina sustain when I'm running or trying to run away from a Zerg. Siphoner is kind of my dump. I just put a bunch of points in there to get it at a steady 7%. This helps with trying to get people to stop regenerating so well. 72 Warlord for that 23% break free cost reduction. Very important, especially as Magicka. 75 in the Arcanist. You need that recovery, so there it is, 14%. I put 2 into Tumbling because occasionally I do need the dodge roll, and at least I get some kind of reduction on it. Especially now that Rune Cage is dodgeable, I do find myself dodge rolling when I'm fighting Sorks a bit. I don't want to get hit with that meteor, you know what I mean? Shadow Ward, I do block on my back bar when I'm getting overwhelmed to heal, so I like this reduction in the block cost. Moving over to our damage tree. Critical damage, very important. It affects your heals and your damage, and it's the fastest way to kill players. That's why they build so much crit resistance these days. So I have 51 points into this to give me a solid 19% critical bonus damage. For Elemental Expert, we need magic damage, so that the 64 points into this gives us a solid 13%. Spell Erosion's a good dump for extra points that you have, but I find that Magplar lacks spell penetration, so having 64 points into this really helps me burst down those heavy armor targets. 72 Thaumaturge. If I had a staff, I'd probably increase this to 75 to unlock Exploiter for the off-balance damage bonus, because Electric Staff knocks people off balance. But since I'm using two-hander, I keep it at a 72 with 23%. And then I put some points in the Shattering Blow. This is kind of an experiment. Not necessary, but I find problems trying to kill Nightblades and Sorks. So I like having 9 points into this to try to burst through their shields when they're trying to recover. This is experimental. You can put this elsewhere. Maybe Master at Arms to increase your direct damage. We do have some direct damage abilities like Purifying Light, but it's not many. Not enough for me to invest in this because it doesn't scale amazingly. So I just I don't really invest in Master at Arms. I haven't noticed a big damage increase when I did experiment with it, but some people swear by it. Me personally, I would just rather invest in something more utility based. And that's it for CP. I hope you guys enjoy this build. I highly recommend trying it out if you like to play a DPS Templar. This is one of those rare builds that can PvE and PvP, which is a nice bonus. I've hit up to 27k sustained damage on this, 27k DPS on boss fights, and parses. So, I mean, and that's an in-pen. I could only imagine what it would be if I actually had PvE armor on, so I would give it a go. It's a very balanced build, and I really just enjoy Magplar Smallman PvP. So please like and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get more involved with the ESO community, and I thank you guys for all the support that you've given me thus far, and let me know in the comments below if you would enjoy watching me stream. I'm working on putting together a Twitch channel, and I'm really interested in trying that. So any Magplars out there, please give this build a go. Come out here and slaughter me if you can, and I'll enjoy seeing you out here. Have a good evening.